guess, period of being young and thinking that you're invincible and thinking your body isn't going to break down, but it is, like, what tip can you give to, like, actually, like, invest in their health? Because it will help in the long run.
I think it would be really good if more kids saw a personal trainer for even a short period of time, just so someone could watch them move and see what imbalances they could have when they're moving. We've got a bunch of kids at our gym, and I love that because it's training them young how to move appropriately. Also, seeing a chiropractor as a kid, I wish I did that. I didn't see a chiropractor till I was probably 21. That would have saved me a lot of injuries if I saw a chiropractor.
Hello, everybody. I am Jon Grogan with the Rewind podcast. Today I have with me, as always, Edgar Ramirez. And today we are going to be interviewing Kaitlyn with Katas Integrative Health. So, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, no, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I've already asked a lot prior to, beginning of the podcast, so got a little bit of a background. But yeah, no, thank you for joining us. We're really excited to have you. I've heard a lot of great things about, like, your practice and everything. I actually met you, what was that, like 2-3 years ago when we went into that CrossFit gym, and you guys were beasts, and I kind of left.
I stayed
left
there.
the group.
I stayed there. I kept working out. You kept working out at Choose Fitness.
Unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and I guess we'll kind of dive a little bit into your story of how you got into the chiropractor world and ask a few questions that I think a lot of people can benefit from. And especially if they're looking for a good chiropractor, I'm sure you have, some tips of what people should look for when it comes to finding the right chiropractor and not just some.
As far as being somebody who likes to injure themselves, she has fixed 99% of my problems, so completely recommended, 100% recommended.
Yeah, but tell us a little bit about your business. When did you start? And essentially, what behind the name? I know it's Katas.
Katas.
Yeah. Katas.
Okay. I was curious about. I thought it was cats because
Cats.
Originally, like when we started talking, I preferred do you prefer cat
That's
or
amazing.
Kaitlyn? Yeah,
I know.
Okay,
Everyone butchers it, and I
full circle.
I laugh.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about your business. Like, how did you get started? What how long it's been, and how it's how everything's going now.
So I've been in practice 6.5 years. I moved out here from Chicago in 2017 and opened up my practice. It's been going really well.
Yeah.
I've been through one name change.
Oh, really?
And now it's Katas Integrative Health, and it's really encompassing more than just chiropractic.
Yeah.
So I needed the name to reflect that.
What did it used to be?
Highlands Chiropractic.
Highlands Chiropractic. Okay.
And then I found most people were coming to me just for chiropractic. And I'm like, wait, I do all these other things. And functional medicine is a big part of my practice. So the integrative health makes sense.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, if you're looking at spreading your market a little bit, because what all do you do in your business besides adjustments? Like, do you do dry needling and cupping, like... tell us a little bit about that.
So with the adjustment,
Yeah.
I usually do electroacupuncture, dry needling, or cupping therapy in with the appointment.
Yeah.
So working on the muscles surrounding the spine, not just the spine. And people see improvement a lot quicker that way.
So it's a process that you like learned, or you kind of implemented yourself. Like, your appointment looks like XYZ.
It kind of evolved that way.
Yeah.
But I did training on the weekends while I was in chiropractic school for acupuncture. And then started using it together, and I just saw amazing results with people. Yeah. So it's worked really well.
Yeah, sounds like I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was telling you earlier, like when there's a time when you can't walk, that should be a red flag that you should probably go see either a doctor or a chiropractor.
Probably before that.
When your wife has to put your socks on, you have to visit a professional.
Go get yourself fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you want to integrate all of those things into your chiropractic? Because you said, you had like a good amount of people coming to you just for chiropractic, but you chose rather than to capitalize out to move on and to expand your business. What made you want to expand it into all of these other areas?
Well, I find that people that come in with pain for chiropractic, I probe, and there's usually other underlying issues of where the pain could be coming from. So it may not be structural. It could be chemical, like what's going on with their diet. Are they super inflamed? Could be emotional because we hold emotions in different parts of our body. So I probe with my patients and kind of get a background and get a feel for what services they could need. But I find that people need more than just structural care.
Which is interesting.
That's really cool because a lot of previous chiropractors I've been to, they've just snap your head back and forth once or twice, twist your back up a little bit, get some pops and everything, and then off you go on your way. That's really cool that you narrowed in that it's like, okay, chiropractic sometimes isn't just the issue, but it's like it could be. So you actually like wanted to solve your patient's problems and not just do a quick session with them and then on your way, but like let's dig in, let's figure out what the issues are, and let's get you back to healthy.
How do you usually diagnose which of the three it could be? So like if you have a patient come in, like how do you know it's either emotional or if it's through foods that they're eating, or if it's like, from what I hear, the spine is the biggest cause of like injuries to your shoulders, lower back, legs. How do you identify that?
Well, I ask them questions. I just keep asking questions. I ask about their diet. Stress, sleep, any major traumas in the past few years, or past childhood traumas. That even came up today. I had a new patient who was super inflamed and just feeling her back. I'm like, where is this coming from? So I asked her more questions than I normally would if someone didn't feel that way. And it came back to a childhood trauma that she had.
Really?
Yeah, and she's...
Like trauma as in like physical trauma or emotional trauma?
Emotional.
Really?
Yeah. And then a bout of something else that happened a few years ago that she's been getting out of dietary-wise, an eating disorder. So all that combined, I'm like, okay, let's talk about functional medicine.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because you're not like you're digging into their history of their like. It's like you're doing the diagnostic is what it would be called. Like when you're looking at a problem in a car and you're like trying to figure out what the solution or the problem is, and you have to plug in computers and all this stuff. You're kind of essentially doing the same, but like it's kind of crazy that you can identify like this is what you need.
How can you identify problems like that, especially with the body? Like you said, people carry their emotions and their stress. How do you figure out that it's like, okay, this physical problem is coming from an emotional trauma that happened? Like, is it just like, how would you even go about figuring that out?
I can't tell you which emotion you're holding, in your neck versus your low back, but I know women hold a lot of emotions in their hips, and it's like deep-seated things. So that's, a lot of imbalances stem from the hips. But the body keeps a score. Ever heard of that book?
Yeah.
I have not. Actually.
Oh, no. You said a book?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's called The Body Keeps a Score. So it's different for everyone where you hold your trauma or stress or grief. Grief is often in the lungs, so like looking at the Eastern medicine perspective of how someone comes off, like whether they're really angry and agitated, that's a liver thing versus grief and like deep emotions, that's lungs. So it depends, but I don't know. I just probe on if they have some past traumas.
Very cool.
Yeah. And do you approach it and then like how do you prescribe the solution? Do you like recommend them follow a certain program, or like what does that look like after like you find out what that is?
Yeah, so if it's emotional, therapy is always great. I typically recommend neurofeedback for like PTSD or like major past traumas because you really have to work on rewiring your brain to move forward from that. And then with like diet, inflammation, like where is that coming from? I often recommend labs, so comprehensive labs or a stool test to see what's going on in their gut.
Yeah, that's crazy. But to kind of rewind a little bit about your story, because that's kind of, we got a lot about your business and people can kind of get a grasp of that. But like, what does your not upbringing, but like your collegiate like years look like? Were you an athlete growing up? Were you like?
What led you to where you are
Yeah,
today?
yeah. There we go.
What made Kaitlyn?
Yes. So yeah, I was very athletic growing up. I did a bunch of different sports, but
Yeah.
I was mainly into dance. So when I went to college, I had an English and dance major and really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah.
And I thought being a teacher would be the easy route. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I could teach English and teach dance.
Yeah.
And then when taking teaching courses, I'm like, I cannot do this. This is not my jam. I don't
What
think I
grade were
have.
you aiming for? Around like.
I wanted to be a high school English teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Oh gosh.
It's quite the group to deal with.
Yeah.
I have some nieces and nephews that are getting about to that age, and they are not quite. They're more middle school, and I can't even stand them, and I'm related to them. So, I mean, I love them all. I love them all. And they're all. But sometimes the comments, I'm like, just.
Well, I'm glad I figured that out early. But
Yeah.
then I thought I wanted to be a lawyer
Okay.
because I was really good at all the law classes, and I was just naturally good with English and literature.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a huge fan of lawyers, and just this is a very general comment, but
Your dad was a lawyer, wasn't he?
yeah, my stepdad's a lawyer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to live like that and practice like that, just like he works nonstop.
Yeah. So that was kind of like something you saw that you were like, I don't want
yeah,
that lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't see yourself in those shoes, basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I ended up in the legal admin field after school. So I worked at the state of Illinois appellate court as a deputy clerk for 3 years and hated my life. It was very monotonous. I wasn't built for that job.
What does a deputy clerk do?
So we instructed lawyers and attorneys, pro ses, how to file briefs and motions, and we would take their filings
Yeah.
and do what we needed to do with them. So it was a step above from the civil court,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of paperwork, files.
Yeah. Oh, man,
Not-
I would fail miserably. The fact that you have to, I'm sure, keep everything organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be a-
the people, the wrong people would be going to jail because I wasn't organized.
Yeah.
It's a lot of weight on your shoulder. It's like, oh, I forgot that paper. That
Yeah.
would save them
no,
from
that-
jail.
Well, it taught me a
years.
lot of communication skills working at that job and working with different types of people. So that, I did gain experience in that way.
Do you think that there are things that you took, like you said you learned communication skills, but like what developmental things, I guess, helped you move? Like what did you take from that job into other careers?
From that job, probably nothing. It was too easy for me, and I was bored most of the time.
Yeah.
So I just ended up doing other things, but I'd get the job done.
Yeah.
So and I would just say communication skills and working with a variety of people
Yeah.
in Chicago, it could get really interesting.
Yeah. So you move? Are you from? You said you're from Colorado, right?
I'm from Chicago.
Chicago. Okay, you're from Chicago. So what got you out here?
I've always wanted to be here. I
Okay.
tried to move out here twice before going back to graduate school. And then I decided to go back to school, so I stayed in Chicago to finish my degree.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to Chicago. I love it. I don't know why. I mean, that would be the second place I would live.
Really?
Maybe
That is surprising.
mine is the trains. Trains are sketchy.
Why?
we rode the because there's different lines. There's a blue line. There's a red line.
So you rode the L?
So and there was some weird people just walking by. And I'm like, tell my wife like, put your ring away. So I was like, I don't even know where. All I wanted to do was go to the Michael Jordan statue at the stadium. I forget the name of it, but we made it safely.
Wow.
That's good.
That is surprising that you want to live in Chicago, because I've never been, but I think that I've heard that Chicago, a lot of people like Chicago better than New York. That could be wrong.
It's a small
I
area.
would agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I like Chicago way better than New York.
100%.
It's just spacier.
Yep.
Like it's
Yeah.
less dirty.
Yeah.
It's
Way
pretty.
less dirty.
Yeah.
The way you guys were talking, because you just went to New York and Chicago, actually,
Yeah.
didn't you? Yeah. And you said that like New York is like, it was almost like the the city doesn't sleep. Like it's just awake.
You're
all the
always
time.
like, if you're middle of the night, you just hear cars honking. Like honking out there is insane, first of all. And then, but Chicago was a different story. I mean, you go out there, you just enjoy what they have. The food is delicious.
Food is the best.
People aren't as big of assholes as they are in New York.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of more tourism, I think, in New York than there is in Chicago. They're both very busy, though. But my opinion, Chicago's...
Yeah.
Yeah. What part of Chicago did you live?
I was in the suburbs, so 30 minutes outside of the city. It's where the Bears Stadium is moving to. That's my hometown. So that'll be interesting over the next 10 years how that develops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is your family still back in Chicago?
Yep. They're
Gotcha.
all in Palatine. And they all live very close to my mom's house.
Oh,
I
really?
have 3 older brothers. They're all very...
3 older brothers.
I was about to
Yeah.
ask, how many siblings do you have?
Yeah.
3 older brothers, so you're the baby. Dang.
We were, because we sat down before this just, to talk a little bit about, the podcast and everything. And me growing up, like there was a lot of similarities I could tell, like when we were talking as far as like the way you grew up to what I grew up. Because all I had was older. I had 2 older sisters, but by the time I got to like an age where I could, think properly, they were both out of the house. I didn't really know them that well. Because it was just all boys.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a different way to grow up compared to like, other people that we've seen where it's just, I don't know, there's almost like a lackadaisicalness, like just like a little ease, like, just like don't care as much. It's like, I've been through worse.
Especially growing up with boys, it was very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely shaped me to why I am and who I am today.
Yeah.
When you say that, what do you mean by that?
A little rough around the edges.
Fair.
A little less sensitive than other women.
Able to,
It's just
able
kinda,
to hang, drink the beers.
yeah.
Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. What do your brothers do? Like, what do they do?
One's in sales
Okay.
for big like refrigerator humidors.
Uh-huh.
One's a security guard, and then the other one is a firefighter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, growing up with siblings, I'm sure it was
Is
either
he-
one, challenging, and 2, a lot of energy and testosterone
Yes.
Yeah.
from them.
Yes.
Is he a Chicago firefighter?
No, Libertyville, so a suburb.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, that'd be very cool if he was a Chicago firefighter.
Yeah.
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 Go try out for the TV show.
Right.
Just kidding.
He would never do that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess kind of hearing a little bit of your story, but like I guess for the audience, essentially, if they're listening to it, what are some of the tips that you would give some people as far as like we talked about it earlier, like finding the right chiropractor to help fix some of these things? Like how does one go about, knowing that they're getting the proper treatment, and what kind of questions should people ask, or the questions that you get often?
Well, when searching for a chiropractor, just know we're all different. And I tell my new patients that come in, like, I may not be the right fit for you because every chiropractor practices differently. I guess a good question I would ask, how long do you spend with each patient? Because then you'll get an idea. If it's a 5-minute appointment, they're just going to adjust you and send you on your way.
Yeah.
If it's 15 minutes, you're going to get more time with the doctor, and what other additional services do they offer? Kind of geared to what you're looking for. Like if you're looking for more in-depth health advice and help, then it's good to go for like a well-rounded chiropractor with many services versus someone who just adjusts. But if that's what you want, then that's fine.
What clients do you think you typically cater more towards? Like, what people would benefit from your services? Like, I mean, are you like, would athletes, people who are very athletic, or people who are more overweight, or what people do you think you cater to?
I mean, I cater to both of those.
Okay,
The athletes, I work within a gym, so I
Yeah.
do see a lot of athletes, and I am trained in rehab, many forms of rehab, so that was my past life. People with conditions that have turned chronic, or they've tried so many things, or their doctor keeps giving them different prescriptions and they can't find out or figure out what's going on. Those are the patients that I like to see because I really want to get to the root cause of their issue. A variety of people. Did I answer that well?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Yeah.
What you said that you did rehab. What was your experience like in rehab?
So I did my rehab diplomate when I was in school. Another thing I did, but I just never took the test at the end because by the end of that, I'm like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Because I was so invested in functional medicine, and I'm like, this is what really gets people better on a deeper level. And I'd rather send someone to a physical therapist and, you know, let them do what they're best at versus trying to do all these things.
Yeah.
So
at what point in your career was that at?
Probably the first year I was practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fairly early on, you were trying to get into rehab and things like that.
Yeah.
When I was, before we had done any of this, before we had gotten into roofing, I was trying to be a personal trainer and all of those things. And I was looking into being a physical therapist. And I was going to go to Pima Medical Institute just because I didn't really want to go to college or anything like that. So I was going to go there. And when I went there to look into like what that job actually is, like my idea of what that job is compared to what it actually was, polar opposites.
Yes.
And when I looked into it, it's like you're going to be spending most of your day with, older people, falling down, broke their hip, which I'm sure is very rewarding, but it is also very like monotonous and tedious and, just helping people do simple stuff as far as stand up and sit down and little things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think this is for me.
Well, I discovered early on that, I spent all this time with patients on doing different rehab exercises. I gave them homework to do at home. No one did their homework. Then we're not going to progress. So it was just really aggravating. And I don't want to be that,
Yeah.
I don't want to practice that way if people aren't going to listen to me.
Yeah. Well, and especially, I don't know, maybe I think for us, because I know for a fact, like when I was younger, when I was like 25, I used to like just work out careless. I never really cared about injuries, or if I hurt myself, my body would recover faster. But then you don't know like what the consequences are when you're, 31, 32, 33. You start feeling that. And you look back and you're like, man, it was like the amount of times I rolled my ankle in high school with basketball, just landing on someone else's foot and it rolls, that hurts my ankle now.
We think we're invincible when we're young.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for...
You're still young.
Yeah, right. Shut up. No, but what advice do you have for younger people? Like, I would even say like people need to be more cautious about like, that I guess period of being young and thinking that you're invincible and thinking your body isn't going to break down, but it is. Like, what tip can you give, those people to like actually like invest in their health, because it will help in the long run. It'll build a good habit too. Always seek professional advice if something is hurting.
I think it would be really good if more kids like saw a personal trainer for even a short period of time, just so someone could watch them move and see what imbalances they could have when they're moving. It's really great to see that here. Like, we've got a bunch of kids at our gym, and I love that because it's training them young how to move appropriately. And also seeing a chiropractor as a kid. Yeah. Like, I wish I did that. I didn't see a chiropractor till I was probably 21. That's like what was eye-opening to me when I first went. And that would have saved me a lot of injuries if I saw a chiropractor, because I would have gotten the appropriate imaging when I injured myself.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you think that like parents have a responsibility to take their kids to a chiropractor? Like, I mean, you're in the profession, so you kind of have a biased opinion. But if you weren't a chiropractor, know like what you know, or if you did a little bit of research, would you essentially recommend people take their kids, even if they're, because I've heard people take their kids when they're babies and they get adjusted too.
Oh, yeah.
So is that, like, what do you think about that?
I think it's amazing. There's people who grew up with chiropractic and it was just natural that they've been going since they were a kid. And then there's others who haven't experienced chiropractic until they were 30.
Yeah.
So
when something
looking
hurts.
back on that, I wish getting kids adjusted even once a month or like once every few months, or knowing like how they're acting could be related to their spine. Even with babies, like colicky baby, that could be an upper back thing.
Yeah.
And giving birth is very traumatic.
It is.
So it's very common for newborns to get adjusted right off the bat,
Yeah.
like first, second day.
I know my sister
Really?
did
That's
that.
Yeah.
She,
Oh.
my sister went and took my my niece in to get adjusted because I'm thankfully one of those people where my parents did. I mean, they messed up with the older kids and they, I guess, got it right with me. But they had us going to a chiropractor for most of my childhood. I think ever since I was 14, I've been going to a chiropractor. But it was so strange to watch that, like, my niece get adjusted. It was
Why?
you just feel like you're gonna break the baby. It's like, because I can't remember like what it was, but yeah, like I mean, just small, quick movements. My sister freaked out. But
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
But
So I think, based on what you're saying, parents should consider, their kids being, taken to a chiropractor to build that habit. Because essentially, I mean, he's saying it, even when he was 14, now to the day, he knows that might fix certain things. So he's doing it unconsciously, like his parents kind of put that in his mind.
right.
Well, you
parents-
learn when you need it, which is important.
I would say that's one thing that it has done for me is it's given me like just physical awareness of my body and like when I am out of whack and when I'm not, and having that. So yeah, I completely recommend it to anybody. That's if your kids are in their teens or especially in sports because they
Oh, yeah.
because how many injuries carry on from you don't even realize you're out of whack until you are like 30, 31, 32,
Exactly.
and that's affecting you today. So
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, you think about it, it's like, why not want to feel good? Why not? Like, why does my shoulder hurt? Like, should I get it checked? My back's hurting. Should I get it checked? Like, you should get it checked.
Yeah.
My opinion, I'm the worst example to say that. And I'm kind of like,
Do
I
what
think I'm
say, not as I
procrastinating
do.
it for whatever reason. I just don't have enough time, So I need to get.
Well, I'm
You
5
know.
minutes away.
I know. You're like, that's right.
Literally 5
And now I
minutes
know where you
away.
work.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But like, what is your plan for your business moving forward? Like, where do you see you've been in business for 6 years? I'm sure you've kind of had a steady growth in one, learning, two, customer base, and then finding your niche. So where do you see yourself kind of, in the next, I don't know, next 6 years? Or I guess that's too far. Maybe in the next year to 2 years.
Well, I want to ramp up my functional medicine side and create more of an online platform to reach more people. So expanding those services will be important for me, and then collaborating with other practitioners, collaborating with the gym, so with Arsenal Health. We'll be working together and building their functional medicine nutrition side. So just getting the word out a little bit more. 6 years. I eventually want to do animal chiropractic.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I think right now is not the time, but that is a goal of mine to eventually work with animals
That's
too.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen videos on TikTok of chiropractors literally like adjusting dogs and stuff. And, like,
Yeah,
after
it's
dogs are
crazy.
like, they're like, what just happened? It's kind of funny. So why are you thinking about shifting to that? Are you still going to be doing potentially like?
Oh yeah. I'm going to continue chiropractic as long as I can, unless my body breaks, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But
Nah,
yeah, I've always loved working with animals. I
Yeah.
grew up with a ton of animals, and it's just a passion of mine. So
Yeah.
something that would be new and exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
would you do only small animals or would you do big animals as well?
Crocodiles.
Because crocodiles.
Bears. She's gonna wrestle a bear.
No, I want to do like dogs and horses. I do want to do horses.
Because I've seen horses. I've seen chiropractic
Yeah.
work done on horse. Because
Really?
Yeah,
didn't
you
know
can
that.
adjust
Yeah.
a horse. How they do it is beyond me.
It's
because
insane.
it's such a big animal that it's like, how do you? It's not like a human where you can turn their neck and just, it's. That's
Well, it's
not-
all about leverage. It doesn't matter what size you are as a chiropractor. I see giant men.
Yeah.
It's just leverage, even with a big animal like that. So it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to work with horses.
Yeah.
So it's been a dream of mine.
Yeah.
Well, when you do get into it, I got 2 brothers. Both have horses.
Yeah.
so-
Perfect.
I got 2 cats and 1 dog right now. Potentially 2 in the future. Dogs. Yeah. No, but I guess when it comes to business, I would like to talk a little about your side of business and how you have navigated it. Like, what has been a few, I guess, two of your biggest challenges in owning your own business? Because we know how hard it can be, like not only mentally, but in your field, like we're dealing with replacing roofs and siding, painting. You're dealing with people, people's emotions, people's body. Like, how does that affect you? Like, what do you do for yourself when it comes to?
Well, you know, when I started practicing, it was a big learning curve in terms of taking on people's energies, which is very easy to do when you're working with people and they're coming into you with all these problems and a lot of it being emotional as well. So I used to go home exhausted, and you learn these rituals to do to kind of not take on other people's energies. So that's something I learned probably year 3. But
that took a while.
It took a while. I was exhausted for some time. So that was an improvement. But in terms of, learning how to run a business, that has been the biggest challenge because they didn't teach us a lot of that in graduate school. We had 1, maybe 2 business classes, and then they're like, here you go.
Yeah.
So
It'll help you.
Which really don't even give you a whole lot of footing as to what it actually takes to run one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was very difficult. And I'm still learning, but you start to learn your strengths and your weaknesses in business and where you should outsource for certain things. So yeah, still a learning process.
For anybody that's looking into like going into chiropractic or maybe like looking to follow your footsteps as far as like, what you've accomplished, what advice would you have to any up and comers in the industry?
Take additional business courses. Do more learning on your own of what it takes to run a business, even if you're not going to be running your own business. It's important to know, even going into an associateship, because one day you most likely will want to run your own clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a very competitive market? I've is there a lot of, I don't know if there's a lot of chiropractic offices. I've seen a few chiro now and all these different ones that, they're franchises, I think. But is it very competitive for you, like in this area?
It is pretty populated with chiropractors, Arvada, which, I haven't really had an issue with, especially because we all practice differently. So it can be saturated in certain areas, but it's not terrible. In terms of like finding a job, it can be kind of difficult because it's, it's very unique to what you want to do is very unique. And so you have to find the right practice that works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another question, do you seek, I know you say learning, you need to learn more about business and get more classes. What have you done to kind of, expand your knowledge when it comes to your business and your practice and all that? Is there any other classes that you took?
No, but I did work with a business coach briefly, and talking to as many other business owners as you can, especially in your field, really connecting with other chiropractors and picking their brain and vice versa. Yeah. That has helped the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I could probably agree with you because, I don't know, when you see competition, you shouldn't really see competition. Everybody's kind of running their own race. It's the perspective of people, I think. You're a chiropractor. If we were chiropractors and we're doing a podcast together, we're friends. We're not competing because everybody has their own market. Everybody's running their businesses their own way. And I think it's cool that you are able to go to other chiropractors to kind of seek their knowledge. Do you have any mentors that you kind of go to for advice and stuff like that?
I used to in Chicago. Here, not so much, but I do have a couple of really close chiropractor friends, and we'll always be bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
But that is something that I missed moving out here, is losing that mentor, and a mentor is kind of hard to find, at least in my field.
Someone that has the best interest in mind for you.
Yes.
It's hard to find.
And have the time and capacity to teach you in their spare time.
Yeah.
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 Have you found yourself being one of the mentors, like helping another person?
Yeah, I've had students come and shadow, even not chiropractors. I've had a marketing, publishing girl come in and, write an article on me, and then she was just fascinated. And so that kind of led into other things. So I try and, give back as much as I can, but
it's hard, running a business and then caring for all the customers. And on top of that, like having a personal life,
yes.
Running a business is tough. Like
It is tough.
It is very tough. What is one advice that you received your whole life that really sticks and that has been like a core of how your life is running now? Is there anything that you can pinpoint that like
helped you grow, helped you move forward?
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
I don't know if you guys will like this, but you can only rely on yourself. Sorry, you can't always, don't rely on a man. I've kind of learned growing up, but you have to be able to rely on yourself, be your own person, build your own life in order to, give yourself to someone else and to patients, the community,
Yeah.
I agree, and it's unfortunate, to learn that piece of wisdom. But I came to that exact same conclusion in my life as far as before we started the company. But generating your own sales, it's like nobody else is gonna do it except you. You gotta put in the work. You can't wait for somebody else to come along. And I'm sure it's different from a woman's perspective, but from a man's perspective, I mean that should be it across the board. You should have that work ethic. You should have that discipline. And so, I agree.
Yeah, you gain confidence in yourself and you feel solid and
Especially moving from a different state.
Yeah.
And then your family is back home.
Yeah.
You're here. You're building a life for yourself. You're independent. You're owning your own business. You have your own all these really cool things. Which so props to you for
Well, thank you.
everything that you're doing and everything that you will continue to do. We're very excited to see it happen because we're so close. We're neighbors.
Well, and I'm going to continue to go get adjustments. So I'm super excited to see your business grow and to flourish and to, hopefully, you get more clients, from, this podcast. Hopefully even people will reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you in the gym and in my office.
I need to get my shoulder fixed, my wrist, my back,
your low
my
back.
neck.
Yeah.
My lower back is my biggest concern because, like I said earlier, the fact that I couldn't put my socks on for 3 days, I could not move, bend for anything.
That's when you see a chiropractor, or before that happens.
Well, the funny thing is, I still have it.
But he still has it.
Yeah, and I'm still doing everything that I was doing before.
Yeah.
Well, not as intense, but but yeah. With that being said, thank you for coming on. I know you got a busy day ahead of you, and we hope the best for you, like we said, and I appreciate your knowledge and sharing it with everybody, what you've experienced with your business, and we'll have you back on later on.
I was gonna say, hopefully in the next
please.
2 years, when a year or two down the road, things have grown, things have changed for us and for you.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to have you back on and kind of see where things have gone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. This has been so much fun.
Not as stressful as you think it is when you get going.
Yes,
So,
all right, guys.
Caitlyn.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you.
So we're gonna cut this one. If you need to get adjusted, don't be like me. Be like him. Go to her office and get some work done. Like she said, there's a lot of different things that can be happening in your life, and you may not know it, but she may be able to help. And it's all about physical health, spiritual health are very important. They go together, I believe. And so I'll see you next. Maybe
do
Friday or
real
something.
quickly for people to get a hold of you or to find you online or phone numbers. Where can they get that?
Katas Integrative Health. My website is drkaitlynpopp.com. Phone number?
You don't
Email?
have to give that.
No,
People,
well,
as long as they have a way to get
information.
to your online program. Everybody
Check
has a
out my
phone.
website, or check me out on Instagram. It's Dr. Popp, at Dr. Popp.
Sweet. Yeah. And then she is located in Arvada. So if you're in the Arvada area, go visit her. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Thanks.